So here in Windows, we're going to have a look at how we resize an image for the web. So I've got a folder of images here and we're going to double click in there to open it. And then as we hover over this image, we can see that the resolution of this is 4000 pixels by 2300 pixels. Now, if you're uploading this image to the web for something like WordPress or your own website, then you might want to be resizing this down in order that it will upload a bit more quickly, but also so that it won't take up too much space when you're uploading it. So to resize right from here, we can right click and click on Edit. And now we have the image in Microsoft Paint and we can resize the image in here. So if I come up to my top left hand side here, we're just going to click on this button and work on resizing the image. Now we can resize it as a percentage or as pixels. And I want to jump to pixels because I want to talk about the different resolutions that you might be using for different types of images for the web. So if we go from the smallest image to the largest image and some sizes that we could use for those, we'll start at an image width of 150 pixels wide. So if I type in 150 here, you can see that both my horizontal pixel width changes and my vertical pixel height changes. So I have those two change in proportion, and that's because this maintain aspect ratio button is checked. And you definitely want that checked. You don't want to be distorting images as you're resizing them. The only reason you do that is if you are fixing the distortion that was already there in an image. So this kind of image will be a small image. It will be great for a thumbnail on the web, for a thumbnail that was going to link to another image or something like that. And then we come up to some medium-sized images or some large thumbnails, and that would be something around 300 pixels wide. That's good for a small article size image. So if you've got an image within your text in a WordPress article or something like that, then the 300 pixel width would be perfect, okay? And when you're uploading images to the web, anything between 300 and 800 pixel width, you can upload pretty easily to something like WordPress, and WordPress will deal with the different image sizes that you're going to be working with, okay? So 300 pixels wide for a smaller sized image. And then if we come to a large sized image, something like 600 would be a larger article size. Anything above this, between 600 and say 1200 or 1800, would be a much larger image size where you'd be displaying it in a light box or something like that on your web page or as a full-size image. And then beyond the 1200 or 1800 pixels wide, you're really uploading something that someone is going to download to print. So these are the kind of three main image sizes that I find myself using for articles on the web. Somewhere around 150 pixels wide for a thumbnail, somewhere around 300 pixels wide for an image that you're going to use in an article, but it's a smaller sized image, and then 600 pixels wide for a larger sized image. Once we get up to, say, something like 1024, then we've got an image that's going to fill a good portion of the screen. And this also brings me to another point. So when we're working on screen, most computer monitors now for a desktop PC will be 1920 by 1080 for most newer computers that you buy off the shelf now. So that's a full HD image. So if you think about that 1920 as the main image size, then you're producing images that are that width or smaller. So the original image size here that we had at 4000 pixels wide was way too big for most computer screens that you're going to be displaying images on. So these image widths from 150 to around 600 or maybe 1024 or 1200 pixels wide would be great image sizes for the web. So I'm going to resize this image to 600 pixels per inch, and we see that it's going to scale the vertical height as well to 337. So it's scaling everything in proportion. If we click OK, then we're going to have an image that's resized. And if we go to the view option here and just click 100%, we know that we're viewing that image at 100%. We're seeing the quality of the image that we're going to get on screen. Obviously, if we wanted to zoom in on this, then we're going to lose the quality that we had in that original image. So once you've resized your image, just go to the save menu here, and I would encourage everyone to go to save as when you're saving an image that you've resized, so that you don't save over the original version. That's really important. And actually, I normally make a copy of my images before I resize them. So I'm going to save this as a JPEG, and we'll get some save options here. So I'm going to save this as compressed so that I know that it's not the original image against my original image here, and press save. And so now I have an image that's going to be a lot smaller. It's going to upload much more easily to the web, and we'll see a comparison of the two image sizes once we click on them here. So if I click on my original image size, you can see this item selected, and if I hover over it, it's 1.73 megabytes. So it's not massive, but it's a reasonably large size. And if I hover over the compressed version, you can see here that it's 102 kilobytes. So that's a lot smaller in terms of file size. It's going to upload a lot more quickly. Obviously, the dimensions are 600 pixels wide, and you can see here on my screen that it's going to be a much smaller file size, and that size on screen will really depend on the resolution of your screen as well. So I hope that's been useful. It's really important to think about image size when you're uploading for the web, and it's obviously really important also to make sure you save those backup copies of your original images or you resize them, so that if you do make a mistake, then you can go back and edit and rework with those images.